almost every day I have different gardeners that come and ask me questions about, how to water their garden, what's the best way to water, how much should I water, how often, how frequently. These are difficult questions that really has a lot to do with your soil and the type of implement you're using to water your garden with. So a lot of gardeners will use sprinklers. Sprinklers work great, especially when you're getting seeds to germinate, and there's a lot of great sprinklers out there. This is one of my favorites. It's called a Pound of Rain. Comes in a square as well as a round pattern, and the great thing about these is they're cast iron, and so you can run this over with your car and it won't break. I mean, my dad's got one that was old when I was young, when I was just a kid, and he's still got it and he's still using it. So it's a great sprinkler, very effective. It'll do about a 30 by 30 square. This one will do a square, and there's a lot of different sprinklers out there. This one is also made by Nelson, and it rotates and it puts out just a gentle spray. But when it comes to watering your garden, sprinklers are easy, but they're not the most effective, and they're definitely not very water conserving. In fact, a lot of the water evaporates off and doesn't even get into the soil where the plants are. So what I've done in my garden is I've set up soaker hoses, and I've got soakers that run down all my rows of my garden, and it waters basically everything I've got in my garden: corn, beans, carrots, squashes, tomatoes, peppers. I mean, you name it, I've got a soaker hose set up to cover those. And with a lot of our cantaloupes and really big squashes, you can even do a drip system as well too. Great thing about a soaker hose, and this is a coiled soaker hose, and it's a flat one, and so it rolls out really nicely. It's made from nylon, very easy to unroll and set up. You just hook it up to your hose system, and soakers use 70% less water than a sprinkler to do as good a job or a better job than your sprinkler would. The soakers you can lay out right along your row. Say we've got a row of carrots here. We can lay that out, and it will soak out probably 6 to 8 inches on both sides of the soaker, depending on how long you leave it on. I leave mine on for about 3 to 6 hours, depending on what I'm watering and how dry it is. We've had a really dry summer so far, and so soaker hose, very, very effective way to water. I will water probably once every 5 to 7 days with my soakers, because they saturate so deep into the soil, puts it right into the root system and into the root zone for the plants. So I don't have to water nearly as frequently, and I'm using 70% less water with each application than I would with a sprinkler. So it saves a ton of water. It's really, really easy to do. And I don't have to worry about weeds coming up in between all my rows, because the water's just going right where the plants are. So using a nylon flat soaker like this is a real effective, easy way to water your garden. They come in a lot of different sizes, so 25, 50, and 75 feet, and they're very even. They water fairly evenly all the way along that 75-foot run. Works really quite well. A hose like this, made by Orbit, is made from recycled car tires. So these little harder rubber hose come in 25, 50-foot lengths, and you can hook them together. So we've done about 100 feet, maybe 125 is about as long as we can put them together without losing some pressure along the way with the hoses. So they'll stay fairly even all along the hose if you do about up to 100, maybe 125 feet. If they get longer than that, then you're not quite as even along the hose. But just like it looks in the picture, the water will seep out and kind of sweat right out of the hose, and it does the same thing like the flat hose. It'll soak out about 6 to 8 inches on both sides of the hose, and these are a little bit more durable. I've had a couple of these probably 7 to 8 years, and they still work great. Had to patch a couple spots where I hit it with the lawnmower, jabbed it with a shovel, but easy to repair and great to maintain. You can leave them outside year-round. I've had a lot of gardeners, a lot of customers who have just kind of buried them out in their flower gardens and in their rose beds and along the side of the driveway where they don't have a really good watering system, where their sprinklers don't hit, and the soakers will do a great job at keeping the moisture right there available for your plants. So like I said, a great way to conserve water. Soakers will use 70% less water than a sprinkler will, but they'll do a very, very good job at keeping your plants well hydrated, even in drought conditions, and a great way to save and conserve some water in our difficult summers.